Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Adjustment of the Township of Morris, being held on Monday, October 23rd, 2023. Sonia, statement of adequate notice has been given. The legal notice required in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act has been satisfied, and a statement certifying same will be executed. Sonia, roll call. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Goldberg.
Here.
Ms. Brockman. Here. Mr. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Schuster.
Here.
Mr. Benoit.
Here.
Mr. Kramer.
Here.
Mr. Trachtenberg.
Here.
Ms. Simmons. Here. Mr. Oler.
I'm here.
Mr. Hanson.
Here.
Mr. Woodford.
Here.
And I'm Sonia Santiago here.
Okay. First item of business is the consideration for the approval of the minutes of August 22nd, 2022. Has all the members of the board read the minutes? And is there any issues or questions about the minutes? If not, I will entertain a resolution to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next would be consideration of the minutes for June 26, 2023. Any comments, members, concerning the minutes? If not, a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next, there's several resolutions. First one being BA-16-23, Mr. Oler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a memorializing resolution with respect to the application filed by Angela and Joseph Burnaby. It's with respect to an application which they filed for permission to install a 6-foot solid PVC fence in the front yard of Pear Street and to maintain an existing solid 6-foot fence in the front yard of South Street, where no fences in any front yard are permitted at a height greater than 3.5 feet. That property is located at 375 South Street in the RA 15 zone. For the reasons set forth in the resolution, the application was conditionally granted. And I did note that there is one modification, a typo on page 2, 3 lines down in the middle, the word sold should be solid.
Right. Board members, any comments? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Santiago?
Mr. Goldberg.
Yes.
Ms. Brockman. Yes. Mr. Trachtenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Schuster.
Yes.
Mr. Benoit.
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Mr. Woodford.
Yes.
So moved.
And this next resolution is with respect to BA 1323. It's an application, again, a memorializing resolution for the application filed by Carolyn and Gregory McLean, who applied to the board for permission to modify an existing non-conforming 2-story dwelling by constructing a 1-story breezeway addition to the front of the dwelling to utilize the existing garage area for additional interior living space and to create a new 2-car garage. That property is at 23 Arbor Way in the RA 15 zone. The proposed improvements would create a front yard setback of 28.5 feet where 50 feet is required, side yard of 15.34 where 20 feet is required, and a combined side yard of 31.58 feet where 50 feet is required. And for the reasons set forth in the resolution, that application was conditionally granted with our standard conditions.
Board members, any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that one.
Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Bennett?
Roll call?
Mr. Goldberg?
Yes.
Ms. Reisman? Yes. Mr. Truckenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Benoit?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Woodford?
Yes.
So moved.
All right, and the third resolution, again, a memorializing resolution with respect to the application filed by Mr. Maida and Mr. Pereira, who had previously applied to the board for preliminary and final site plan approval, D1 use variance approval to permit a mixed use, mixed business residential use and property at 3 Whippany Road. That the applicants had previously applied for for extension of the approvals, and 2 prior extensions had been granted, which would have expired on September 22nd, 2023, and the applicant requested a final 1-year extension, which would bring it through September 22, 2024. And I understand from Mr. Hanson that the applicant is at the ready to start once the board votes on this.
Board members, any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Santiago?
Mr. Goldberg?
Yes.
Ms. Reisman? Yes. Mr. Truckenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Benoit?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Woodford?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. We're going to jump ahead a little bit to other matters. That's BA 16-20, Timothy and Robin Kronk. Counsel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael Brown of Brady and Coriel on behalf of the applicant, Timothy and Robin Kronk. I'm here tonight requesting an additional 1-year extension. The applicant actually sought and was granted approval from this board in 2020. They were unable to start due to COVID-related delays in construction. They had requested 1 extension previously. The applicant is now here tonight requesting an additional extension because the contractor or general contractor in which they were engaged with advised them that the contractor was indeed, in fact, moving to Florida, which was not the best for my applicant. The contractor did offer to still provide his services somewhat remotely, which was a little bit odd as a general contractor, and which my client said, I'm not comfortable with. So we are here tonight requesting an additional 1-year extension, and the client is actively engaged with a couple different contractors receiving some bids at this time. But once those bids or the contract is entered into, they are ready to start construction. So I am asking tonight that the board consider and grant a 1-year extension, which would then run to September 30th, 2024.
Okay. Any problems with that, Mr. Oler?
No, and I can confirm there's been no modifications in the zone since the time of the approval as well. So I'd recommend it.
Okay. Board members, can I have a motion to approve the extension?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Goldberg?
Yes.
Ms. Rothman? Yes. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Benoit?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Woodford?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, members of the board.
And,
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
and you have another matter that you wish to discuss briefly with the board?
I do, Mr. Chairman. That
That's-
would be an application that was in fact noticed for tonight. That would be that of Michael Ewing, which is over on Springbrook Road.
That's BA-17-23, is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
And it's block 6503, lot 54?
Correct.
All right.
And we are asking that the notice be just carried on the record. We do understand that the board is very busy in November, and we're advised that we would be available for the December date. So I would just ask that notice be carried administratively.
Okay.
Need for further notice.
So is the December date available?
I believe so. December 11th, yes, it's available.
Okay, do we have to do anything other?
Just by motion as well.
Okay,
Just carry it to December. So a motion to carry the application to December 11th.
okay, a motion to carry the matter to December 11th, 2023. Board members, can I have a motion on that? Have a second?
Second.
Santiago?
No, we need a roll call.
Do we need a roll call or
You
just vote?
can do that by acclamation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so for the members of the public who may be here on the application for Michael Ewing, that application's not being heard this evening. It will be heard on December 11th at 7 o'clock in this room without any further notice from the applicant.
All right,
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I appreciate your time tonight.
okay,
Mr. Brown.
thank you. All right. Going to the public hearings, the first one is BA-18-23. Mr. Oler, we have something on that?
We do. The applicant probably sent it to the newspaper timely, but unfortunately, the notice didn't get published on time. So the board does not have jurisdiction to hear this application. It needs to be carried to the next available date.
Do we need a motion on that, or?
We do to whatever that date is. for-
11th also.
Okay. Board members can I have a motion to carry BA-18-23 to December, what date is it? December 11th.
So moved.
Okay, one, who wants to be second? Okay, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion
Okay,
carries.
so for members of the public who may be here on the application for Christopher White, that application's not being heard this evening either. It is being carried till December 11th. There'll be no further notices in writing by certified mail from the applicant, but the applicant does have to republish in the newspaper. So we have a timely publication.
Yes.
Okay? Okay.
Next matter is BA-19-23. Ms. Santiago?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is BA-19-23. Bruce Falcon, block 6902, lot 23, 12 Bell Drive, in the RA15 zone for section C. Applicant proposes construction of 14 by 16 foot deck, creating a side yard setback of 28.5 feet where 30 feet is required, and creating a combined side yard setback of 48.25 feet where 50 feet is required.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, will you both be offering testimony tonight, probably?
No, I will.
Just you? Okay, would you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give to this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. And for the record, would you state your full name, please?
Bruce Falcon.
Thank you. Mr. Falcon?
Okay, Mr. Falcon, tell us about this application and the relief you're seeking and why you're seeking it.
Sure. My wife Lori and I have lived in this house for 33 years.
Excuse me. can you
Oh, I'm
use the
sorry.
microphone? Thank you.
Sure. My wife Lori and I have lived in this house for 33 years. We had the deck put in roughly 25 years ago. It's in a state of disrepair and needs to be replaced. As we looked at replacing it, we realized that the section of the deck where we're looking for approval for additional space is too small for our current needs. So we wanted to expand it and push out into the side yard setback by 2 feet. The setback in that area is currently 28.05 feet. And as Ms. Santiago said, it's 30.05 feet. It would be reduced by 2 feet to 28.05 feet. And the overall side yard setback would be just over 48 square feet.
Okay. When you say your current needs, can you go into some detail on that, please?
I'm sorry,
When you said your current needs
Yeah.
require an expansion, could you give us some detail as to what those
Yeah, sure.
current needs are to justify the expansion?
Yeah, sure. The existing deck is about 11.5 feet by 13.5 feet. But there is a 3-step walk down from the sliders in our family room that takes away 33 inches of usable space. So we don't have nearly as much. Because of some considerations for our own need, we can't afford to raise that and have a longer staircase. So we are going to maintain that 3-step step down, which will lead in 33 inches. So it's because of that that the existing space of 11.5 by 13.5 is really not sufficient for a dining room table and some chairs.
So could you explain, like, there's like, on your survey?
Yeah.
You've got the hashed mark where the new deck is going to be, is that correct?
Hash marks?
That it's hashed off where the new deck is going to be.
Correct.
What is the square that's outlined there directly behind the house? It's like is that another patio or what is that?
Yes, that's another section of the deck, which today is much smaller. We will be expanding that as well, but it will not be changing the rear yard setback,
Okay,
or it won't be violating the rear yard setback requirement.
so that's going to be a deck in the back also.
Correct.
All right, and what's the approximate dimensions of that?
So on this drawing here, it's 18 feet long, which is out towards the staircase, and it's roughly 15 feet out into the backyard. We may not use up all that space. It will definitely be the 18-foot length that goes towards the stairs, but we may not go out as far as it's shown on this drawing. But regardless, it won't impact the setback
Is that a
requirement.
step down between the two decks?
On this drawing, it is. Yes.
That's okay. Well, you say on this drawing, is that going to be eliminated?
No, actually, that will be there because, as I said, we don't want to have like an 8 steps down off the deck. Let me see if I can explain.
Yeah,
The current deck is 2 steps down from the entry points from our sliders in the family room, as
Right.
well as from our kitchen.
okay,
And it's not shown on this drawing. Because it's 2 steps down, we only have 5 steps off of the deck onto our patio.
oh, okay,
That's important to us now, even more so than it was when we had the deck put in. And we don't want that to be changed from 5 steps down to 8 steps.
so there's two sets of steps
Yes.
down from the dwelling down onto the deck, is that
Correct.
correct? And are they both they're on different sides of the house?
Correct.
One's going towards the rear and one's going towards the side where the driveway is?
That's right.
Okay. All right, that clears a few things up. So how far is your proposed expansion of the deck towards the rear yard? How far is that from the setback line?
My understanding was the setback is 35 feet, and I don't think we're even close to that.
Okay.
I think it'll be over 40 feet.
Because I'm just wondering why you just don't go back that direction as opposed to having the 2 sections of deck.
Well, we currently have 2 sections, and that
Right.
is of some value to us just for our entertainment needs.
Okay.
You know, it's not that we have to have it, but we want to have it, and it didn't seem to be violating the township requirements, so we were going to move forward with that.
Okay. Now, is there going to be some modification of the patio that's there also?
No, not expecting to, other than by having, no, there won't be.
Okay. Board members, any other questions?
Just one question.
Sure.
It's not a covered patio, right? It's just an open air.
Deck? No,
not covered.
it's open.
Yes.
Yeah, a question on the drawing. the striped portion of the deck on the drawing, it seems that it goes over a section of the steps to the slate patio. Is that correct?
So the existing the angled steps are the ones that exist today.
Yep.
Because we are moving the deck out by 2 feet towards those stairs, we need to move the stairs. So the new set of stairs are the ones that you see shown closer to the rear yard fence. So the deck will not be covering any stairs.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
So then are you going to extend the patio out so the steps will come down to the entire patio? Because it looks like the patio is like being bisected or is bisecting the new stairs.
Say it again.
The patio, the way it's drawn, it looks like it's drawn here where it says slate patio, and then there's a line there that goes right into the middle of the new steps.
Right.
So is that because the patio going to be extended in that direction? So when you come down, you're going to be on the patio as opposed to half and half?
If we can
Behind the
avoid it,
fence.
no.
Behind the
What
fence
we're
is-
thinking we might do is
couldn't
we
even
either
see
have
it.
to extend the patio
drove
just,
by.
a couple of feet like that, or we could move the staircase to the closer to the house
Right.
so that we don't have to spend any additional money on the patio. And quite honestly, we just haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay. Board members, any other questions? Okay, sure.
So the extended part of the patio, will it be visible from Bell Drive?
No,
Okay. And is there anything buffering the neighbor to that side of the property?
so there's an existing 5-foot fence. And in my application, I said that there are 2 lots where they would have visibility of the deck. And that is as it is today. So those would be lots 19 and 24. But they can see that deck today. They're going to be seeing an additional 2 feet
Mhm.
that goes into the setback. That's all.
Okay. So that's a board-on-board fence along that,
Yes, there is.
and does that fence extend across towards the house from the lot line? Is that the fence that's indicated here?
Yeah, it covers the entire property from the house to the end of the property
Okay.
in all directions.
All right. And I assume there's a gate where it says Slate Walk.
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Oler?
I don't think so.
Board members, any other questions? Any members of the public with any questions of this witness? Not, I'll close the public portion. Anything else?
That's it for me.
Board members, any discussions on this? Yes, no?
I just see it as a de minimis sort of extension for the benefit of the homeowner.
Okay,
I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, that.
all right, if not,
I said, yeah, that.
okay, so it's a de minimis
That's the side of the property.
violation. All right, then can I have a motion? If no other comments?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application as submitted.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Sonia, roll call.
Mr. Goldberg,
Yes.
Ms. Rathman. Yes. Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Benoit,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Woodford,
Yes,
so moved.
They will have a resolution for you at the next meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Santiago. I appreciate your assistance too.
yeah, now tonight's entertainment. Okay. Next matter is BA-15-23. Ms. Santiago.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is BA-15-23 for Sharon and Scott Beltram. Block 7310, Lot 3, 8 Hillview Terrace in the RA 15 zone for Section C. Applicant proposes a two-story addition creating a front yard setback of 19.10 feet where 50 feet is required, a right side yard setback of 10.88 feet where 20 feet is required, the left side yard setback of 13.24 feet where 30 feet is required, and a combined side yard setback of 24.12 feet where 50 feet is required. Applicant will also seek a variance for building coverage of 29.7% where 20% is permitted, and an expansion of a non-conforming structure.
Thank you. Counsel, your appearance, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Simone Cali, Cali Law LLC, on behalf of the applicant. We are here tonight seeking relief that Ms. Sonia just summarized for the board. We are proposing a two-story addition at the Bertram's single-family residence. We have two witnesses who will be presenting testimony this evening. First, you will hear from our project architect, and then second, we have a professional planner to take you through the planning proofs for the variance relief we are seeking tonight. Unless there are any preliminary questions, I would like to jump right in and call my first witness, please.
Sure.
Jeff, could you state your name for the record?
No, wait. Jeff, I'm just waiting for you to look up. Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give to this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And your name for the record, please?
Frank Jeff Rotting.
Jeff, can you take the board through your qualifications and experience?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm a graduate of Ohio State University, 1979, with a Bachelor of Architecture. I've been practicing architecture ever since. I have a firm in Morristown, FJ Rotting AIA, and I've testified before this board numerous times over the years I've been in practice.
And your license is in good
And my
standing?
license is intact, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll accept you as an expert.
Thanks.
Thank you. Jeff, you or somebody under your supervision prepared the plan that was submitted as part of this application, is that correct?
Yes,
Can you please take the board through your proposal?
certainly.
Can we put that up on the board for members of the public?
Yeah. Do we, Sonia, do we have it on the screen or no?
Was that the latest plan
Yeah.
that you submitted?
Yeah. I mean, would that be easier? I could talk to the,
Okay, bear with me.
sure.
Hold on.
That's the site plan, right, Jeff?
Second one, please. Thanks. That'd be easier to see.
Just gonna put it up.
Well, while we're waiting, just so the board understands, I was engaged by my client, the Bertrams, to add and renovate the house located at 8 Hillview Terrace. The house is presently a 2-story house with 3 bedrooms. We have a front porch that faces Hillview Terrace, and it is situated on a what would be classified as an undersized lot within the RA 15 zone. It's a 6,500 square foot lot, 60 by 100, and it carries with it a lot of pre-existing nonconformities in both side yard setback, front yard setback, and we are over on the existing improved coverage by a slight amount. So a lot of these are pre-existing conditions that we're asking to formalize the relief for. The proposal itself is to add I'll call it significant addition to the back of the building and around to the side for the purposes of accommodating and housing my client's parent in a 1-story living situation. So what this floor plan, I'll show that in a minute, what this floor plan includes is a 1-story master suite, the addition of a garage, and the addition of a master bath on the first floor, in addition to the living space that's there. And that is that larger element that you see on the bottom right of your site plan there that's shaded in. The proposal also includes expanding what is an existing porch on the front facade. The existing porch is presently enclosed with windows. It had been enclosed at some point earlier. We want to open that back up to an open porch and essentially wrap the corner with that porch for the aesthetic purposes and also the functional purposes of having a place to sit and enjoy the outside space. The lot itself has a driveway, an existing driveway on the right-hand side of the property. As you may recall, we filed some drawings with the township earlier that proposed to have a garage on that right-hand side of the structure. That would have taken the place of what was formerly a carport there. We were going to enclose that, and that carried with it a 0 setback. In our review, well, it was 1 point something, essentially 0. In our review with the township, it was decided that was too aggressive. And so what we did do was we moved the garage to the rear of the property so that you would come down the right-hand driveway and be able to turn into the garage to the left. And so the rear of this addition is predominantly the garage. The impact to the neighbors to the right side of this property, there's one parcel left on the right side of this property before you hit the dead-end street. And that the home that is a portion of the home that's adjacent to that property is no closer than it was before. In fact, our addition is set back about 4 or 5 feet further away from that adjacent property. What should be noted, as I mentioned before, is that this is an undersized lot. It's 6,500 where 15,000 is required. We are asking for relief on both building coverage and improved coverage, but we really think that the house size itself is in compliance with what would be desired in this zone relative to size and massing. If you were to put this on what would be a conforming lot, we would comply with both the building coverage and the impervious coverage. We would be where 20% building coverage is required. Our building coverage would only be 13% of the 15,000 square foot lot. And where the improved coverage is required to be 45%, we would only be 21% of that lot. Part of our proposal also includes removal of an existing frame garage or shed, more or less, on the back half of the property to afford a larger backyard area. We do meet the rear yard setback requirement. The garage is just about on the setback within an inch or two. So that is in compliance. If you look at the far right-hand side of the site plan, as you look at it, the closest point of the structure is 10.86 feet away from the right side, the left sideline, I should say, as you're looking at it from the street. That is the master suite. If you've visited the site, there's quite a large space between the existing home and this. I'm sorry, the existing home to the left and this home on the right, and the new addition on the right-hand side. It should also be noted that my client owns the home to the left. So the intent, as I said, was to provide a home for their elderly parent who would require one-story living. If I can walk you through the architecture a little bit. We could probably skip over A1. I'm not sure if they can hear me as we're going. A1 is just the lower basement plan. So A2 is the first floor plan. If you follow the orientation, the lower portion of the page would be the street frontage, and the driveway would be on the right-hand side of this plan. So you would enter through the front door onto a porch. As I said, that porch exists to an extent. We didn't bring it any closer to the street, but we are opening it up, so it is just a roofed over area that they can provide seating in. We walk directly into the house, into the existing living room, and then it's a wide open plan. We've taken center walls out to afford this wide open plan. It's a large kitchen with a dining area in what would be the back portion of the existing house. The staircases that you see on the right as you go in the door exist. One goes to the second floor. The other one goes down to an existing door to the driveway side, as well as continues down to the basement as you go down to the right. Then we have the one-story living aspect of this, which is the master bedroom on the left-hand side, and it's also has access to the wraparound porch, which I mentioned before, and then a master bath suite, which is behind more or less the garage on the far left-hand side, and a single-car garage, as well as a mudroom, laundry room access off of the driveway immediately in front of the garage door. This is about a 1,900 square foot footprint, so it is not out of character with the house sizes in the general area. There are some smaller homes and some smaller lots, which our planner will talk to as he gets up to do his thing. As we go up the stairs, there's existing three bedrooms upstairs. The two bedrooms that were on what would be the front of the house or the lower portion of the plan. Maybe I can ask the guys in the back to switch to A3. There was two bedrooms up towards the front of the house that we made into one bedroom. They were kind of tight, small bedrooms, small closets. So we took that bedroom and made it a little bit larger. Where you see in the center of the house the proposed study, that would have been the third bedroom. We essentially made that like common space between the three bedrooms on the second floor, and the two bedrooms that were added, one over the top of the master suite to the left and one over the garage at the top of the page, would share a common bath. There's access into that bathroom from both of those bedrooms. The bedroom that we created up in the front of the house has a hall bath that's also could be utilized by the interior study space between the 3 bedrooms. Then we have a stair. We added a little bit more of a larger stair up to the attic because they need some storage space. Right now, their basement is a substandard height basement. It's about 6 feet or so in height. They have an existing attic. The staircase really just gives them better access to the attic. It didn't increase that height. It didn't increase the headroom. It's just a means of getting some better storage up in the attic. And if we can go to drawing A4, which is up there already. So on the upper left-hand side, you'll see what is the front facade. We provided a porch roof wrapping around the corner, as I said, in an open porch. There'll be lattice work and brick piers to support the porch. And the entry door is essentially where it existed before, as are the upper windows. And on the far left, you'll see the master bedrooms addition beyond and the upper bedroom as well. We took care to kind of keep those upper bedrooms underneath lower roof lines. We took the roof lines down to low plates to bring the scale of the house down as you look at it from the street. The upper right drawing shows the elevation from what would be the driveway running down the right-hand side of the house. You'd first see the side of the porch. Then you'll see that door that I mentioned that comes off the driveway that's existing, that goes directly to the kitchen or down to the basement. Then as you go further back, the wing on the back is set back approximately 4 or 5 feet from the corner of the existing house. There's a door to the mudroom immediately off the driveway there, and then a single-car garage towards the rear of the property that you'd access by turning left off the driveway. The windows above those garage doors represents the bedroom to the rear. That window above the side laundry room door is a window that gives daylighting into that interior study area I mentioned before. And the high windows that you see up on the left are headroom, I'll call them headroom windows, a dormer to allow a little bit better headroom to get up into that attic space. And again, that attic space will be unfinished space. It's really just meant for storage. And as I said, they're limited in storage in their basement. And then if you look
Can I
to
just
the,
ask a question?
sure,
It says on here, existing driveway elevation. They all say existing. Is this the proposed?
it's the proposed elevation. It's the existing driveway, right? Yeah.
No, but it says like
Yes.
existing front elevation, existing all the way across on all the 4 diagrams. So these are the proposed ones.
I'm
correct?
sorry, they are proposed. Yeah, the word existing shouldn't exist.
Okay.
Yes, and the lower left is what you would see from the rear of the property. And as I said, we have the proper setback to the rear portion of the property. You'll see that the big double windows on the second floor represent that rear bedroom. And then the bathroom and the secondary bedroom on what would be the left side of the house, the right side of this elevation, are under a roof line. The dormer that you see there is in the bathroom. And then the lower window that you see on the lower right in this elevation is into the master bath. There's a corner window there that involves a soaking tub. And then there's an access door directly into the garage to allow them to get the lawnmowers and stuff out of the garage without having to bring the cars out of the garage to get to that tools and things. And then the last elevation on the far right is the elevation that my clients will see from their property, and it shows the side of the porch and the master bedroom on the lower, dead center on the lower elevation, and then the secondary bedroom immediately above that. The window to the far left on the first floor is the window in the master, and the window that's up on the second floor is a window in the secondary Jack and Jill bathroom off of the shared bedroom. That's really my direct I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Board members have any questions about what the proposal is? No? No questions from the board members? Any members of the public with questions about the architectural plans? Just the architectural plans at this point? Seeing none, hearing none. Close the public portion. Next witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our next witness is our planner. Paul,
Usually the questions.
Board Councilor Strauss.
If you raise your right hand, please, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give to this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And state your full name for the record, please.
Paul Ricky, RICCI.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky.
Paul, can you take the board through your qualifications and experience briefly?
Yes, I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I've been licensed since the year 2000. I'm also a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. I have a master's degree in city and regional planning, which I received from Rutgers University in 1997. I'm currently a planning consultant to 6 municipalities. I testify in front of boards on a fairly regular basis, over 200 boards throughout the state. I testified on the McLean application, I guess a month or 2 months ago, last month, here as well.
All right, we'll accept your credentials as a licensed professional planner. You may proceed.
Thank you. May I just jump into it? Or?
Yes, go
Okay.
ahead.
On face value, this is an application that it appears to just have a lot of variances and not result in sound land use planning. I think it's actually to the contrary, and I'll explain why. First of all, to begin with, when I reviewed the architectural drawings, I think Mr. Alding did a really nice job of designing a home with a lot of character, no garage doors facing the street, the predominant architecture of the area, and something that I thought would result, at least from an architectural perspective and a visual perspective, would result in a significant improvement to the property. This lot is 2.3 times undersized for the district. With that said, based on the existing zoning, you could not build a house on the property because of the requirements of the zone. You would be able to have a building width of 15 feet, and you'd be able to have a depth of 25 feet. So by right, just to give you a starting point, if you tore this house down and you were following the zoning, you could have a building footprint of 375 feet on the property. So when I look at this from a planner, it's an existing lot of record. What is the appropriate use of an undersized property here? This is not a subdivision. So what I did is I looked through your zoning chart, and I wanted to see what your standards were for a property of this size elsewhere in the community. And this property most neatly would fit in your RA7 zone. That's a zone that has a 7,500 square foot minimum, which is approximately 15% larger than the subject property, and permits lot widths of 50 feet and a depth of 100 feet. So this property would conform, because we have a lot width of 65 feet and a depth of 100 feet, would conform to the width and depth provisions, but would be undersized because it doesn't have 7,500 square feet. And just for comparison purposes, and we look, when you look at a community, and pretty much all communities throughout the state, when you look at zoning for residential properties, their standards are based upon the size of the lot. As lot sizes go up, proportionally, the amount of development potential reduces, and that's a pretty static criteria that we see throughout New Jersey. So with that said, again, lot area 7,500 square feet is permitted in the RA7 zone. We have 6,500. A lot width of 50 feet is required versus 65 feet that's provided. The building coverage in the zone is 30%. The applicant here is providing 29.7%. So we'll be in compliance for the larger lot. Lot coverage of 55% versus 48.5% proposed. So, over half the lot would remain as open space. Heights remain unchanged between both districts at 35 feet, which both are in compliance. The front yard setback, the zoning requires 50 feet in this zone. 50 feet in the existing zone, the RA 15 zone. The RA 7 district that we're talking about, the smaller zone, requires 25 feet. The applicant has 19.32 feet today, and that's being reduced to 18 feet. And that's largely to do with the redesign of that porch area, which is now open space, which is closed today. I think visually and architecturally, if anyone had an opportunity to see the property, the existing porch is enclosed and it doesn't have the same level of character that's being proposed. I don't have survey information for the front yard setbacks along the street, but similar to what I discussed last month, this is an area that has a high degree of lots that don't meet the lot size requirement. And the homes are largely in line with what is being proposed today. What I mean by that, on Hillview Terrace, all the other homes don't meet the 50-foot setback, and they're largely consistent with what's being proposed, what exists today, and what's being proposed by the applicant. Moving forward, the side yard setback requirement in the RA7 zone requires 10 feet, where 10.9 feet is proposed. Side yard both is 20 feet, where 24.1 feet is proposed. So it's largely my argument is that because of the undersized nature of the lot, this application or this applicant is utilizing the property as really appropriate for a lot of this size in comparison to how you regulate lots of this size throughout the township. I do believe that the applicant is entitled to a hardship under the C1 provisions as well by reason of the exceptional narrowness, shallowness, and shape of the property, because it does result in a hardship that, there's relatively little to nothing that can be done on this property by right. And I look at it as a blank property with nothing constructed on it. Your master plan, I did review that as well. When it discusses residential properties, the goals are to preserve the predominantly single-family residential neighborhoods of the community. And it states to ensure that new infill development in these neighborhoods considers and respects the context, the scabish style, and character of surrounding homes. I believe the architectural diagrams show a tastefully designed home, one that retains the most prevalent colonial pattern that could be harmoniously integrated into the neighborhood. A couple of things that I thought were from an architectural perspective, from a planning looking at it, I thought the wraparound open porch, bringing it back to a traditional realm, was desirable. I really like the rear loaded garage, no garage doors facing the street. And overall, I thought that the varying roof lines of the building, it just seemed that he put a little extra into this project that I thought really broke up the mass of the building and would be of a large architectural interest. For the reasons I mentioned, this application promotes several purposes of the municipal land use law. Promoting the master plan meets criteria A, promotes the general welfare of the community, and also purpose G, provides sufficient space to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. Regarding negative criteria, sometimes what my rationale kind of spoke to the positive and the negative overall. I believe that the variances can be granted without a substantial detriment to the public good. You heard from Mr. Rawling, the homes aren't really moving any closer to the residences that they adjoin. The rear yard setback is in compliance. The front yard setback is largely where it is today, and the height is in compliance for the zone. So there's no reason to anticipate that this home would result in a substantial detriment to the neighbors. Again, I talked about how there isn't the ability to construct a reasonable sized home based on the undersized nature of the properties. And for the reasons I mentioned, because of the undersized nature, and how this application conforms to a zoning district that's even larger in town, I think it's clear that this application does not result in overdevelopment on the lot and proportionally makes sense based on its reduction in lot size. So while on paper, this application requires numerous variances, I think it's clear that it continues to result in sound land use planning. That's largely my direct testimony.
Thanks, Paul.
Mr. Ricci, you indicated that the property as the proposed buildings are similar to other properties in the area. Could you give us specific examples on that?
Well,
Like an address?
Yeah.
And how this is similar, so we can go through that and have that on the record, please?
Well, and I didn't collect exact property sizes and home sizes because that information wasn't readily available. So when I looked at that block 7310, it contained 11 properties when I looked at the lots to begin with. And 9 out of those 11 properties were undersized for the district. So my analysis really focused on the appropriateness of development levels on the lot itself. I looked at the area more from an architectural standpoint. The predominant architecture was colonial. There's some mixed in split levels, and as you move away from the neighborhood, it's more varying. But to me, having a nice colonial home in this area made the most sense architecturally.
What about the size of the improvements on these various lots, on the 9 undersized lots? Are they, this will be to the same, are they to the same extent as you're proposing here? Or are they smaller and more in compliant, more similar to that which is presently existing?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have detailed information on every one of the lots in the area. By face value, I mean, there's lots that are on the adjoining cross street. I forget the name that are 50 by 100 that are smaller than the subject property. And in some of those lots, I would, without knowing the specifics, I would say do have smaller homes on them. They're older properties or older homes and the like. But this property is slightly larger. And again, why I really focused on the lot size and how your zoning regulates, what's proportional, what's appropriate for a lot of that size. I thought that was the crux of this application.
Okay, because I'm focusing on is this house going to look so much larger than everybody else around it?
Okay.
And that's why I was asking those
Okay.
specific questions.
In that regard, and while I spoke somewhat to the architecture presented by Mr. Ralding, maybe we can bring that up quickly. Is that possible? The street view and because the way he designed the home is it largely keeps the initial building. Can we go to just the site plan view first? Can everyone see that? Yes. Facing the street, most of the mass being added or development being added is to the rear of the property. That's not as visible, right, from public rights of way. And as you went through the architectural diagrams, it shows the varying roof lines. He largely maintains the mass as being viewed from Hillview Terrace. And so I don't believe it's going to be something that feels too big or out of character because how the house is being broken up and how it was designed. And the previous application that was submitted, when it was 1.5 feet from the sideline, I said to what's ultimately my client, I thought that was unjustifiable. It did not result in sound land use planning, was too close to the property line. Here, because it conforms in pretty much every aspect to zoning where this would be permitted by, where the lot size is permitted, I focus more on those aspects. And again, because the mass is largely to the rear of the site and it's being broken up, I think it's just architecturally, it's a beautiful home. Not to go off in a story per se, but at one point, I was a planner in Fanwood, New Jersey, that had a historic district, and I was asked to design an oversized home ordinance. So I asked the town, can you give me some examples of properties that you felt were oversized? They gave me some examples. I looked at them, I put them onto a table, you have height, setbacks, coverage, floor area ratio, and the like. And just because the person that I am, I was able to get some information on some of the historic homes that they had, that they held so dear to. These were Queen Anne Victorian homes. And on face value, those homes architecturally, excuse me, from a mass perspective, were taller. They covered a greater percentage of the lot. They were just bigger, but they were so nicely designed that the town endeared those. I'm not saying that's the case here, but for me as a planner, when I see a nicely designed, architecturally designed site, that goes a far way for me, knowing that the neighborhood's going to appreciate that, and it's just going to bring up the neighborhood rather than detract from it. So I think there is an intangible to be considered when reviewing an application for bulk variances, in addition to the comparison that I gave to other zoning as well, is what I'm saying.
Approximately 7 years ago, this property was subject to a subdivision, a realigning of the lot sizes. And this lot went from, I think, approximately 10,000 down to its present size. And in that application, as noted by the planning board, it says the applicants are not proposing to change the residential use on lots 2 and 3. The applicants do not propose any improvements to the existing dwellings owing to the garage on lot 2 and the removal of the carport on lot 3. So at that time, your clients represented to the planning board that there were not going to be any more improvements. And now we're coming back and more than doubling the size of the house footprint. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, I mean, I wasn't part of that application. I don't know exactly how that got onto the record, but
Well, it's probably because
no.
the client said that.
No, well, my point is, in terms of, let me try to clarify my statement. I mean, at that time, they had no intention of modifying the home. What? I don't really follow what you're saying.
Do you want to take a couple of minutes just to prepare an answer on that?
Mr. Chairman, I can actually have our client explain to you the purpose of this addition as compared to the testimony that you just, well, excuse me, I should say.
The resolution that I was quoting?
Exactly, the resolution of approval from the subdivision a few years ago. They will be able to explain what has changed, that what they're asking for today is different than what was in the record as part of their minor subdivision approval a couple of years back.
Okay. All right, let's continue with this witness then, and we can come back.
No, I can't.
This witness cannot testify as to the current purpose of the proposed addition, so it would be better if the homeowner or my client comes up to give that.
All right, then we can
answer
come,
that particular question.
and then we can come back to you again for more cross-examination. Right?
However you want to move forward.
Is that
Oh, absolutely.
okay? Fine.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give to this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
And state your full name, please.
Scott Bertram.
Thank you, Mr. Bertram.
And Scott, you are the property owner, is that correct?
Yes.
Can you heard the chairman's question. So you were back before, you were before the planning board. Looks like it was in 2016 where you obtained minor subdivision approval, a lot line adjustment for your property. The chairman is curious why then you stated, and it made its way into the resolution, that there were going to be no more improvements or expansions to the home that is now on this lot, which is lot 3. And then today, you're asking for a two-story addition on Lot 3. Can you reconcile what has happened between 2016 and today?
Yes, I can. And first, thank you to the board for the consideration of the review of this project tonight. At that time, 7 years ago, we did own both properties, 4 Hillview Terrace and 8 Hillview Terrace. And at that time, we decided to sell number 8 with no further need or functional purpose for that property. We were, at that time, our testimony was to sell that lot to another private owner and to, have no further renovations to that structure. Fast forward 7 years, we do have
So when
a,
you say lot 4 and 8, 4 is lot 2?
I'll have to get,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 8 is Lot 3, what we're here for tonight.
gotcha.
So 4 what you were proposing to sell.
Yes.
No.
No.
So my primary residence with Sharon is 4 Hillview Terrace.
Okay.
We recently bought back number 8, which is lot 3. So 7 years ago, we owned both lots. We did the lot line adjustment. We sold lot 3 with no further need or purpose for lot 3. Fast forward 7 years, Sharon's father passed away. Her mother needed to sell her house in Union County with multiple levels of family living. Needed first floor living accommodations, requested to move closer to us in Morris Township. So coincidentally, the homeowner for lot 3 was leaving the area, sold lot 3 to me and Sharon. So now we own both lots again with the sole purpose to have a functional need of first floor living accommodations to accommodate Sharon's mom through her, to make sure she could be independent with us being very close, for close assistance, for support, for cooking, cleaning, transportation, etc., keeping her independence with us being next door.
Hence, Mr. Rawding's testimony earlier tonight when he mentioned on A4, bottom right corner, that side view, he said that that's your view of the house.
That is
And now
correct.
that makes
That is
complete
correct.
sense to me because
Yes.
you are the neighbor
I
looking
am the
in at
neighbor.
this view.
Correct.
Got it. So, Mr. Chairman, that's the change of circumstances.
So I'm a little confused on that. You say that, let's say with lots 2 and lots 3. Lot 2 you just repurchased, is that correct? Or is it lot 3 you just repurchased?
So lot 3, I just repurposed this spring with
You
Sharon,
just
my wife.
repurchased it.
Correct.
And now, having repurchased it, you want to put in first floor living accommodations.
That is correct.
Okay. And you live next door on lot 2.
Correct. And plan to stay in lot 2 as my primary residence with Sharon.
So this whole proposed 2-story addition is to accommodate Sharon's mother on the first floor.
Correct. Just to add some further commentary, the rationale for the second floor is at some point when Sharon's mother can't be there as an independent resident, we'll either have to have home health care or myself or Sharon be home health care and have overnight accommodations on the second floor. So thus the purpose for the second floor.
Okay. I'm just wondering if this could be done in a slightly smaller area than what is proposed. This is a pretty massive expansion to accommodate one person.
So
But I'll
I
ask
can
for- I'll-
definitely, I
Mr.
can,
Chairman, I would be curious if your fellow board members.
That's what I was going to
have
ask.
the
The
same
board,
Sentiment as you.
that's what I was going to ask.
Thank
Board members, you want to weigh in on this issue? I'd be interested to hear from what you say.
I have a question. It looks like there's a lot between the two houses. So there's a big space between the houses. I think the one house on lot 2 is I guess it's further over to the other property line. It's not centered. I guess it's not centered on the lot. Is that why it's so far over? And
That is correct, because lot 2 originally was a 50 by 100 lot. Lot 3 originally was the 100 by 100 lot before the lot line adjustment. So lot number 2, the house is not centered.
And if I remember correctly, there's very little space between the house you're living in and the house next to you. I mean, there's a big varieties of house sizes in that area and even on that street, and some are very close together.
Correct.
Do you know what the distances between those two houses, your house and the one next to you?
So it could be as close as 10 to 12 feet or less. If you're looking at my house, the house to the left of me,
Yeah.
both built in the 30s, the houses are extremely close together.
And then there's one more house to the corner? Or is that the same
No,
house?
that is the corner house.
That's the corner house.
Yes,
That's the corner house?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the house you're staying in is fairly newly renovated?
yes,
I mean, it looks to me,
Com- considering yes. Mhm.
Okay. So I understand Mr. Ricky's argument if this were sized according to an R7. So I guess the question I have is I don't know, does it matter? Does it matter the purpose of the renovation, or are we simply looking at the proposal in relation to the zoning? I mean, if you told me you were going to rent it out and you're going to have this person there and maybe make it into a nightclub, I'd say, well, the purpose matters because you no longer have the same use. But if the use is what you say the use is going to be, to me, does it matter what's being done in there? And we're just looking at the zone, the variance request. So I don't know. I'd be curious to know what other board members.
I can tell you the purpose of having, his mother-in-law live next door isn't really a municipal land use reason to grant the
Okay,
variance.
thank you. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Right, 'cause the town's going to be, you're going to have this improvement there for many years to come. Right, so that's not really a reason that's not the only reason to grant the variance. That's why he's doing it, but that's not the land use reason to grant.
Okay, thank you.
To the chairman's question, is this large? Do I think this is large? It's an addition that's bigger than the base house.
Right.
By definition, it's very large. Is it too large? That's what we got to decide here.
Right.
But there's no question in my mind that this is a very large addition. And I think that was your question.
That was. Yes.
My question is for Mr. Aller. Are we allowed to approve this based on the information that was provided from the planning board?
That was my question.
Well, you can certainly rely upon, you could look at that resolution and see what their reasoning was and their rationale for granting the lot line adjustment at the time.
Well, no, it said that there would be no other improvements made.
What's the exact language for that?
Are you
That's what I was
asking,
looking
do we
for.
have permission to do something
It's-
that is
Yes.
in opposition to what their
Exactly,
resolution says?
That's the question.
Yep.
So let me just put on the record what the planning board resolution says, which is the applicants are not proposing to change the residential use on lots 2 and 3. The applicants do not propose any improvements to the existing dwellings, only to the garage on lot 2 and the removal of the carport on lot 3. I want to also point out some other language on page 5, paragraph 3 in the board's decision. The end of paragraph 3 says, the board recognizes that any future purchaser, I think it should say of lot 3, can, if she or he so desires, remove the existing macadam driveway to reduce coverage, thereby allowing the purchaser further development flexibility. So it seems to me, just reading this resolution, that the planning board said, well, there's still maybe some flexibility. If you take out some impervious coverages, you can put them someplace else or whatever. I think that's what in the decision, paragraph 3 is speaking to. And Ms. Rothman's question of, does this board have permission? Absolutely. You know, like not only there might be changed circumstances, but there's planning reasons why you may or may not accept. But I think this board can act on the application. You're not bound by that language anyway. There's nothing here that's a covenant that says there'll never be any further development. I don't read it that way.
Because it seems to
Thank
me,
you.
if a third person, a third party came in with these plans, who bought that property, would be looking at the same thing. Only in this case, it's
Yeah,
the same people.
right. And it's almost a third person, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, he sold it
Right.
and then he bought it back again. So it's, you know.
No, but he's the same person.
Yeah, I understand that, but there's an intervening person. It's
I
just a matter of, none of that, I think, is relevant to your discussion and your conclusions that you might come to.
Any other thoughts, Mr. Goldberg?
No other thoughts, thank you.
Okay.
Can we move the lot line back? Would that solve the problem?
Tweak it over a few feet.
Sorry, Rich. Sorry, Rich. I withdraw that question.
Along those lines, though, I would like to point out that paragraph 15 on page 4, the bottom of that paragraph, it says, as to lot 3, Mr. Schomer confirmed that both the impervious coverage and building coverage would remain conforming despite the reduction in lot area. So I'm thinking to, that previous boards have been thinking when they made this adjustment that about the impervious coverage area, and the building coverage. So I think we should be mindful of that when, considering this
Yeah,
application.
so I actually have a question for Dave. And Dave, I'm going to swear you in because I'm going to ask, maybe this might turn into testimony. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give to this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
And again, just for the record, full name.
David S. Hanson.
Okay, so Dave, and you wrote the denial of permit letter. I'm looking at October 6, 2023.
Yeah.
And on the second page, the second full paragraph, it kind of talks about what those percentages are in existing and whatnot. And here it says that the maximum impervious coverage is indicated to increase from 45.3 existing to 48.5, where 45 is what's permitted, right?
Right.
So, I mean, maybe they were like, hey, it's 45.3, but it was 45, it's math, so it shouldn't change, but maybe 7 years ago it was 45 in someone's calculation.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dave, do you have an answer to what happened? Why maybe the board thought it was still conforming at 45 or 45.3 or?
No, I don't. There is an existing driveway on what would be the left side of the existing house that goes back to the frame garage. Maybe the limits of that weren't found or outlined properly, and that's why they got the 45.3.
Yeah. And then
But,
just staying on some of your questions there, you seem to be looking for a survey so that the calculations for existing versus proposed impervious coverage could be
Yeah.
calculated?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time picking up where the old driveway was, where the new driveway is proposed. I understand they're taking the garage down in the backyard and that they're uncovering what's left of the old driveway going up the left side of the lot. I couldn't put numbers on any of that because I really don't have the full prior existing conditions on this. And I looked in the subdivision folder for this, and I couldn't find a good usable survey for this. So I'm asking for what existing and proposed conditions that aren't stepped on with the map information, just so I can come up to determine whether or not dry wells are going to be required for this.
Okay, so. Where do we want to go?
Well, I think we need to bring Mr. Ricky back if we don't have anything else
Okay.
for the applicant.
Any more questions of this witness? Members of the public, any questions of this witness? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll bring Mr. Ricky back up.
Mr. Chairman, may I take a few minutes with my team before Mr. Ricky continues his testimony?
Sure.
Thank you.
We'll address 5 minutes, 10
5
minutes.
minutes is plenty.
We'll recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay.
All right, so just for the record, Mr. Ricky's back at the table.
All members are back in their right place.
Do a roll call.
Roll call. Mr. Goldberg,
Here.
Ms. Rothman,
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Schuster,
Here.
Mr. Benoit,
Here.
Mr. Kramer.
Here.
Mr. Trachtenberg,
Here.
Ms. Simmons. Here. Mr. Woodford.
Here.
Mr. Oler,
I'm here.
Mr. Hanson.
Here.
And I, Sonia Santiago, here.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we have our planner back.
Yes. And we were talking about the size of this addition vis-a-vis the neighbors, the size of the houses, and the conformity of the neighborhood.
Would you like me to, I don't have, I think, detailed information that you may be looking for. I can tell you that it's possible for me to submit an OPA request to see what's in the building files in town. Sometimes when you submit those, information comes back, you can receive surveys and the like. Not always. With that
But-
said, in the neighborhood,
But just from your visual inspection of the neighborhood, I mean, you're
well, my
sort of
visual
experienced at this.
in my visual inspection, 6 out of the 11 lots on the block have 50-foot width and 100 feet of depth. So those homes are going to be narrower. They're going to be smaller than on a lot that's 65 feet just by the means of the lot itself. Those homes are likely also going to be closer to the side lot lines as well. In review of the front lot lines, everything seemed very close to the street to me. I would not think, what's it, Fanuc? I always forget the side street. Some of those homes seemed maybe closer to 25 feet. I can submit an OPA request and try to get additional information. I was focusing on, as I stated, the appropriate of this lot based on its undersized nature. And I did not submit those OPA requests, or OPA requests.
Even maybe some pictures would help.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, are there any more questions or information that would be helpful for the applicant and our team to come back
Right.
with?
Well, I was going to open this up to the other board members and get their input and questioning, and then maybe we'll have a little discussion among the board members as to what else they would like to see.
Sounds good.
All right? So any other questions of this witness at this point?
I have a couple for
Okay.
Mr. Ricky. Just so in your C2 testimony, I think you mentioned purposes A and G. Could you go into that a little bit more
Sure.
depth?
Well, the master plan spoke to, let me read it for you. Ensure that new infill development, it says, in these neighborhoods considers and respects the context, established scale, and character of surrounding homes. there wasn't a lot of information in the master plan regarding recommendations for existing neighborhoods and infill development and what's appropriate in this scale. I do a fair amount of work in reviewing applications like this as well as testifying as well. So again, I believe, it was my opinion, that the scale of the infill development as proposed by the applicant was appropriate based upon your own zone plan. And your zone plan, and as I mentioned, in the RA7 district, which is 15% larger, the requirement of lot area than the subject property, this application adhered to every requirement with the exception of the existing non-conforming front yard setback, which maybe I can get some additional information, but I think if we did have that, if there's some additional surveying information, you'll find that what is being proposed by this applicant is not out of character. When I look at the aerials on Hillview, they're all pretty much the same with what's existing. And Fanuc, they may even be closer on some of those 50 by 100 foot lots. So the point is that when you have a lot that only gives you a building footprint of 375 feet, I thought it was the way I evaluated this application, it was the job, for lack of a better word, of the board to determine what is an appropriate use of this property, given that it really doesn't have a functional utility under your zoning, based on the fact that it's 2.3 times undersized compared to what is required for this zone. So that's why I looked at the other areas of your zoning code. That speaks to the intent and purpose of your zone plan. Again, and I thought this application advanced that for the reasons I mentioned. You were concerned that the size of the home is large. I think you wanted to compare it to some other homes, but that also has to be done on face value because some of the properties, 6 of those 11 properties, are indeed smaller than the subject property as well. And based on your zoning, you traditionally allow a larger home on a larger lot as well. Even though the size of this lot was reduced, it's still larger than the majority of lots in the neighborhood. Both lots together, that part of the subdivision collectively, I think, form exactly a conforming lot of 15,000 square feet. So there's a large departure there. Anyway, wherever you cut that line, right? Any other questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I think the difficulty for me right now is clearly the house needs work. And clearly the house is small for today's standards. A modern home would be really larger and the neighborhood could use it. The neighborhood could use a nicer home on that lot. Where I have a difficulty is imagining that, and I was hoping that you would come and say, well, we have this and this and this and this, and this is going to fit within that. Well, we don't have that, and it's hard for me. I look at what's been approved, what's been approved sometimes with different boards, and you go, they approve that? So it's hard for me to imagine what a 4-bedroom house is going to look like. You have a split level home on one side, which is older. You have the house they're living in now, which is smaller and very nice and modern. And you have a house next to that, which I remember seemed to me it was nice looking and very close together. So in a lot of neighborhoods, the relationship between homes is much easier to view, to see. It's easier to imagine what the relationship will look like with a new home there. It's just harder for me to imagine what this could look like when it's fully built out. That's the difficulty I'm having. I don't know if other board members are having similar.
Let me springboard off you. And our engineer, although we have not prearranged this, previous applications for additions, several in the last couple of months, had an intervening sheet that we don't have here. So the sheet, your sheet 1 here, that show, I believe it's sheet 1, that shows the proposed addition and the existing, doesn't have the other houses so we can see their scale. Right. And I don't know what to call that view. a local street view, maybe, that has the outlines of the other homes and the lot lines, okay? Am I describing this well?
You're describing it.
Okay, that would be very helpful to me, and I think that's what Mr. Benoit's talking
Well,
about.
that's a good example, because last month when we did the house on Arbor Way, we could see the street view and all of those houses came up to the same level as the one that's proposed. And we could say, well, yeah, they're not,
Yeah.
even though it appeared to be really close to the street, we could see that it wasn't. But we don't have that perspective.
Distance
And
from right away.
I love the idea that something wants to be done to this house. And I think it'd be great for the neighborhood. I think it's great for, for the owners. It's just hard for me and maybe for others to kind of preview what it might look like. A two-story building with a slanted roof is less invasive than a two-story building that's a gable. It depends on what you're looking at. So I'm just having a hard time kind of foreseeing what that might be.
And, Mr. Ritchie, I would add, Mr. Ricky, I'm sorry, if I'm mispronouncing.
No, it's correct. Thank you.
You're addressing X out of 6 out of 9 or whatever properties are undersized, but we're also looking, and what we're looking at, which is the size of the built up, the size of the not, when I say impervious, in this case, I'm not talking about necessarily driveways as much as roofs and structures. How much structure is on those properties is very important to us in this case. I think others would agree with me on that.
Right, and that's what my questions were directed right from the start. It's like, what will this look like compared to the other houses in the neighborhood? Is it going to overwhelm them?
I can submit the OPA request. I can say that I cannot guarantee that that information will be available in your building files, though. If these
Yeah,
homes
but
are
maybe an
built
aerial
on-
would help.
Picture.
Okay,
Yeah.
that can be,
Some pictures.
that can
Some
be
pictures.
provided.
We
I can
can-
show an aerial.
we can
I
work
can,
off of that,
I can
yeah.
estimate, but if you want
Yeah.
exact numbers, that,
Fine, no.
Estimation is fine.
You're driving down the street, it's all estimates.
We already described for you a print for your package here that shows the outlines of the houses. I don't think that those were done with OPA requests
No,
and
that last,
exact
the last
dimensions.
application was a Google map rendering.
Right.
Yeah, obviously, we're concerned about precedents. So we like to know what we're getting ourselves into down the road when there's a tear down and they go, well, look at this, and we've all seen that in different areas.
I just have a question regarding Mr. Hansen's reference that he doesn't have a survey. Did I hear that accurately? That there's not an accurate
I don't have
survey?
an existing condition survey.
You don't have an existing condition survey?
Right.
And we've agreed that it's going to be a large addition, a large construction on the lot, and you need to have that information to see if there's going to be dry wells or to do a report on that or have that detailed. Isn't it a requirement that an accurate survey be produced for your use?
Yes.
So is that part of something we need to?
Well, I
You do
brought
have
it
to-
up in the denial letter that I needed, I either needed a calculation to be done of existing to proposed or a survey. Maybe not in those exact words, but just have a hard time. What's existing and what's getting torn down and what's getting excavated
So
out.
I guess my
and what's
question,
getting
there is a current survey that can be provided to Mr. Hansen? Is that,
Yes.
okay, that would be helpful.
That-
Thank you.
I agree. Also, too, in thinking about the driveway being lifted and a new driveway being put in, that would be nice to have those figures as well.
So get all that, get back tomorrow?
Your first name Elon?
No.
I would also say I would anticipate questions regarding any landscaping between the new driveway that's being proposed and the neighboring property.
Lighting.
Yeah, lighting as well.
That's an existing driveway.
It is existing or it's being taken up?
No, it's-
Okay, existing, okay. Because, okay, so then where it says existing garage and apron to be removed on the cover sheet. So that driveway there goes underneath the proposed, so I'm confused as to where this driveway is going to be and what is existing and what is not. Do you see what I'm saying?
No.
We can clarify that.
Okay.
Okay. So do we have a list of what we want?
There's two on the site.
That's,
One is overgrown,
okay,
but there's broken up asphalt.
okay.
It's grassed over. That's the one we're taking out. That's the one that goes directly back
To that old
to the
garage.
garage. It's coming out.
So
I have a short list, Simone, I'll go over with you if you can. All right, so what we're talking about, the applicant providing would be an existing condition survey, clarification of the existing and proposed driveway locations. I don't know if Ms. Rothman's looking for a landscaping plan or some
No,
testimony on what
just-
the landscaping would be as
Just, yeah,
buffer.
to kind of figure this
Mhm.
out, because if they're gonna remove, they're removing a broken driveway, it sounds like, there's two
Mhm.
driveways on the property. What right now is being considered as impervious then? Something's
Right,
grassed
when you're doing
over,
the
is it not? Like,
calculation, what are you doing?
where are we starting and where are we ending?
right.
Also important is the aerial and maybe photographs of the street, of the houses on the street.
That's what I have too.
Right, yeah. And if you Oprah the tax assessor's card, sometimes you get lucky and it'll give you square footages on it.
Yeah, I can say that just from past experience, I can provide that if it's there. I don't feel ultra comfortable because I look at tax cards and it says a number and then we have detailed information on our application and they're like woefully different.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
why the photographs are probably better,
Right.
right? So,
Also, too, I would wonder, and this, I guess, should have been a question for the architect, but now that I'm looking at the porch, if we're talking about having someone live, this being purpose-built for someone to grow old in and live on the first floor, if we need a wheelchair access, at some point, is this a ramp? Like, I just want to be thoughtful rather than seeing the applicant have to come back for future needs. Like, if we actually are planning it to age in, thinking about those things.
Unfortunately, the first floor is where it is. It's existing. So if we wanted one story living internally, we're going to be forced to do something on the outside, either with a lift. We talked about maybe a lift in the garage instead of internally. But everything on the main floor would be the same elevation.
Mr. Rotting,
Sorry.
we're not picking up your testimony.
hey, Dave, just on that point though, if an applicant came in and to your office, not necessarily here, said I need to put in a temporary ADA ramp, is that something that the town does without?
Administratively, it's approved with sunset.
Right.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then the people are honest.
Mhm.
The wheelchair ramp is in place for a year or two and they call up and say they're taking it down.
Mhm.
So,
Usually not something we want to put there in the first place, so.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
is there any other?
Any other requests of the applicant? And then you'll be back up and we can continue your testimony, cross-examination, and any questions from the public.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
So
Would
a
you be
new
able to
date?
give us that new date tonight?
That's what we don't-
With the 11th.
Would it December 11th work for you?
Jeff, December 11 work for you?
And then we closing my December meeting.
Yeah, this would take up everything in this room.
I have 3 in this one.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. So do you want to make the announcement?
Yep, so for any member of the public here, this matter is being adjourned this evening. From this point, we'll reconvene on December 11th at 7 PM in this room. There'll be no further notices to the public.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate your candor tonight.
Thank you.
Refreshments, December 11th,
Okay.
might help.
Yes. Right. Any other matters that any board member wants to bring up? Any other matters? None? Mr. Older, do you have any other matters?
I do not.
Mr. Hanson, do you have any other matters you wish to address?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.